Well, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you have or are still enjoying your lunch. In the interest of time, we're going to begin with the program, however. If you would please silence your phones. And also, safety is always very important to us. And if you would just take a moment to locate the exits of the Civic Center in case there would be some type of an emergency and that we have to exit. So just take a moment and see where our exits are located. We'll now have the presentation of colors by the United States Army Cleveland Recruiting Battalion, Canton Army Recruiting Station, and the singing of our national anthem by Maria Rizzo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight of the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Once again, thank you to the United States Army Cleveland Recruiting Battalion, Canton Army Recruiting Station, and Maria Rizzo. Thank you. One of the mistakes they made today was allowing me to have the microphone for a few minutes. So I get to thank a few people that I think it's very important to say thank you to. First of all, our Corps volunteers. You'll hear a little bit more about them during the presentation, but I personally, as president of the chamber, want to say thank you to all of the thousands of volunteers that we have in association with the Hall of Fame festivities. And it's, yep, thank you. Our General Chairman, Dennis Manzella, is with us today. He'll be introduced a little bit later in the program. I want to say a special thank you to Dennis. Also to the mayor of our great city, Canton, Tom Burnaby. He will be introduced later as well, but I personally, again, want to say thank you to the mayor and to all of the city services, especially the safety services, that have done such an outstanding job in keeping us safe. Please give them a round of applause. And that also goes for the entire county and our townships that, you know, we couldn't do this without everyone working together. I do want to take a moment, however, to just maybe inform you or remind you that we have a new president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year, Jim Porter. And this is Jim's, please, give, yes. This is Jim's first year as president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I just want to say thank you to his leadership and his great team at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He has done an amazing job getting the team back into gear and working so hard every day to make not just this weekend special, but the Hall of Fame and what it represents in our community and all of the Hall of Famers who come back. Jim, thank you. I mentioned earlier that we have been producing this for 59 years with the city and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I also want to point out someone's new on our staff who has taken over the responsibilities of being festival director and vice president of events for the chamber, and that's Colin Floyd. Colin Floyd accepted this great honor and job. It's immense, and she and her team at the chamber have done an outstanding job. Colin, thank you so much. Also, the people of Stark County, all of you that are in attendance today, the people who turn out for our events, but how you welcome visitors to our community is so important. And that's what they remember when they leave. They remember the hospitality that this community has represented. And lastly, but certainly not least, are the Hall of Famers that have returned in this year's class of enshrinees. This is why we do this. These individuals are so appreciative of what this community does, but I think we're so appreciative of how they relate to our community. We had 108 returning Hall of Famers, about 150 including deceased Hall of Famers' families. And that, you know, when you think about that, in one place, one time, the best, the greatest of all time, 108 in our community that want to come back every year and celebrate. Thank you for doing so. Someone who comes back every year also, you know, I think this may be maybe my favorite event. You know, the Hall of Famers are relaxed today. They've gone through the enshrinement. But what makes this event so special is our MC. And our MC is no stranger to today's event. He's been with us for many years, and thank you so much for that. He's also 30 years of journalism experience under his belt. He has covered everyone from standout high school players to the professional icons like Michael Jordan and today's NFL stars. He serves as a reporter for NFL Network and an analyst studio host and senior writer for NFL.com. He also hosts the network's Pro Football Hall of Fame specials during the season, after the Super Bowl, and during enshrinement weekend. Best of all, like I said, he's become like family to us, and we're honored to have him back this year. Please give a warm welcome to Steve White.
Well, thank you so much for the kind intro, Denny, and I thought they were playing that music because you were going too long.
They were.
I thought they were trying to get you off the stage there.
They were.
That's all right. You know, they gave Dick for me a lot of time, so you're good. Everybody good? Nobody's worn down from this fantastic weekend that everybody here in Stark County and the Hall of Fame have put on, right? We're good for this because, as Denny said, this is a great event. And I'm more than flattered to be back here again, thanks to Jim Porter, people at the Chamber, the people at Stark County and Canton, Ohio. You know, I have been with the class of 2022 since we knocked on their door, Jim and I and several people, to let them know that they were inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And every year, each class kind of has its own unique identity. Undoubtedly, if you listen to the speeches, you saw what a lot of us have already found out, that family and integrity define the class of 2022. And the reason why I bring that up is because it reminds me of you, right? Every time my wife and I come back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, to Canton, to Stark County, to all the surrounding counties, and meet with people at the chamber and the hall, and the volunteers, you feel like you made us feel like you've known us for 50 years. It is amazing the family that you all have created here and made us feel a part of. And for the first time, my mother and my son, now a resident of Canton, they're here too, and you've made them feel the same way. So it is my honor to be a part of this, and for you guys to wrap your arms around these Hall of Famers every year to make them feel the same way. It's amazing in a short period of time how you embrace people and make them feel with your kindness, with your integrity, one of the words I use to describe this class, because that defines you. So I want everyone to give yourselves a round of applause for who you are and how you make others feel. So as Denny said, this is my favorite event of the weekend as well. It's less formal, right? Everybody here a little bit, we're going to sit down on that stage and we're going to chop it up and we're going to hear some great stories and have a really good time. It's going to feel like we're in the living room of a family household again, because that is how you make everyone feel. So now let's get things started here. We're going to crank up the energy. Okay, you guys had some food. It's a little early. We're going to crank up the energy with a group that always brings the noise. It's an elite group who love football, fellowship, fandom, and making a difference in the lives of others. Let's give it up for the Pro Football Ultimate Fan Association. Are you guys ready to bring it? Oh, I know you have more energy than that. Let's go! Go. That's commitment right there, folks. I mean, that is true dedication. But remember, without the fans, none of us would be here. You guys make the hall. You make the chamber. You make the NFL. So we appreciate that. So it's a good way to get things started. And I know it's a hard act to follow, but I think this gentleman is up for the challenge. Please welcome the Honorable Thomas M. Burnaby, Mayor of the City of Canton, for a special greeting.
Tom, what are you writing now?
I'm writing my stories for the Unscripted Round Table. I love the inside football stories from our new Hall of Famers. And this year, they've invited me. I have a story to tell.
Tom, what stories do you have? You never even played football.
No, I did play football. Canton Lehman High School, 1961, for a whole week.
Wow, I stand corrected.
Good afternoon. Hello, Canton. It is my honor to greet you as Mayor of the Hall of Fame City. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome again to our new class of 2022 Hall of Famers. Sit back and relax and enjoy the round table, one of my favorite events of the weekend. I hope to see all of you here next year again.
Mayor Burnaby, what position for a week? Oh, the overback? Oh, run overback. Okay, I see how that didn't go out too well for you, huh? I like that. All right, well, thanks so much again for that great message. So last evening, 8 outstanding members of the class of 2022 were inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Canton is now forever their home, so let's acknowledge him once again.
Tony Baselli was the best left tackle in the NFL. Tony Baselli physically punished other human beings.
You know why we're here today? That's take care of business. Because we are bad and we're better than this.
Tackle Tony Baselli quickly became the face of the expansion franchise. Regarded as an elite tackle during his NFL career, Baselli's impact was immediate. He earned all rookie honors and helped the Jaguars reach the AFC Championship in only their second year of existence.
Oh, line, let's take the fight to them. Let's go. Fight to them.
Selected to the NFL's All-Decade Team of the 1990s, Baselli was voted to 5 straight Pro Bowls and named First-Team All-Pro 3 consecutive seasons.
All right, let's acknowledge Tony Baselli.
Receiver from the University of Colorado, number 21, Cliff Branch.
They're going there now. Here's the deep one to Branch. Dig. He's got it!
Crowd hooting and hollering and roaring because George Flanders at quarterback. Let him go look. He throws. Branch. I got one. Touchdown Raiders. Stabler back, first down. He's going to pass. He's got time. Throwing the ball for Branch. Branch down on the 35. Takes it in stride. The 30, 20, 10. Touchdown Raiders. Stabler rises up and throws. Branch makes a touchdown catch Raiders. Stabler play faking. Back to set up. Going deep to Branch again. He's got a step. Touchdown Raiders.
Once to Cliff Branch, whose style is a flash of light, a puff of smoke, and gone.
Another round of applause for the late Cliff Branch. Leroy Butler.
Comes up over the middle. Picked off. Intercepted. Leroy Butler. He's high-stepping. Leroy Butler with the touchdown for the Green Bay Packers. But it's knocked down at a 38-yard line. A fumble. And they're going to give it to Leroy Butler goes to the touchdown. It is a touchdown for Leroy Butler. Holy cow, and the fumble recovery. Let's go. Let's get it on.
The first player in NFL history to record 20-plus interceptions and 20-plus sacks in a career, Butler was a ball hawk.
Intercepted. Leroy Butler at the 30 might go. Leroy Butler with the touchdown.
A Super Bowl champion, Butler was a member of the NFL's All-Decade Team of the 1990s and named All-Pro 4 times.
Leroy Butler. Next up, Art McNally.
In the history of the NFL, few have done more for officiating than Art McNally.
It's Art McNally in the middle, who is the supervisor of officials for the NFL.
After serving 9 years as a league official, McNally was hired as the NFL's supervisor of officials in 1968. It was in that role where McNally became one of the game's greatest innovators. He installed the first formal film study program for training and evaluating football officials, and also developed standards for the scouting, hiring, and grading of the crews that work each NFL game. With the NFL for over 50 years, McNally is known as the father of instant replay, having introduced the system that has become an integral part of today's game.
Art McNally, who could not be with us this weekend. Sam Mills, the late, great Sam Mills.
Standing just 5 feet 9 inches, Sam Mills proved that good things do in fact come in small packages. Coming to the Saints in 1986 after 3 years in the USFL, Mills quickly proved himself a difference maker.
This guy can play in the USFL, the NFL, NEL. Go Sammy!
Perennially the team leader in tackles, Mills was named to the first of his 5 Pro Bowls in his second season with the Saints and helped New Orleans reach the playoffs 4 times.
Get ready to turn it up and turn it all the way up!
A 3-time All-Pro, Mills signed with the Carolina Panthers as an unrestricted free agent in 1995 and helped the expansion team reach the NFC Championship in only its second season.
The Panthers have done it.
A round of applause for Sam Mills. Up next, Richard Seymour.
Quarterback to throw, steps up to the pocket, he's hit and sacked. Careening back down the field at the 48-yard line was Richard Seymour. The Patriots' terrific rookie first-round draft pick. Gonna be hit, gonna be sacked. Oh my goodness. He's gonna be sacked back inside the 10-yard line. Richard Seymour. Ball batted in the air, intercepted. He didn't let him get away that time. Gonna be sacked. Richard Seymour got him back at the 17-yard line. Ball was loose, picked up by Richard Seymour at the 40-45. Seymour goes the distance, touchdown.
Richard Seymour. Up next, Coach Dick Vermeil.
During his 15-year career as an NFL head coach, Dick Vermeil turned 3 different teams into playoff contenders. Hired as head coach of the Eagles in 1976, Vermeil turned around the downtrodden franchise, guiding it to an NFC title and Super Bowl appearance in 1980.
I'll tell you where you're going. You're going to the Super Bowl.
Citing burnout, Vermeil abruptly resigned following the 1982 season, only to be lured back to the sidelines 14 years later as head coach of the St. Louis Rams. After guiding St. Louis to a Super Bowl win in 1999, Vermeil moved on to Kansas City, where he led the Chiefs to a division title in 2003. Twice named NFL Coach of the Year, Vermeil retired with 126 victories.
Dick Vermeil. And lastly, Bryant Young.
Selected 7th overall in the 1994 draft by San Francisco, Bryant Young quickly made his presence felt. After earning all rookie honors, Young went on to amass 89.5 sacks during his 14-year career, twice recording double-digit sack totals. In 1996, he produced a record-tying 2 safeties.
They got him. He downs it in the end zone. That will be a safety.
And in 1999, recovered from a severely broken leg to win the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award.
He's going to get sacked for a safety. Brian Young.
A Super Bowl champion, Young twice earned All-Pro honors. He was voted to 4 Pro Bowls and named to the NFL's All-Decade Team of the 1990s.
Let's hear for Bryant Young and the class of 2022. All right, now we're pleased to have some special people with us today at the head table. So please stand and wave as I call your name. Amanda Sterling, the chairwoman of the Board of Directors of the Canton Regional Chamber of Commerce. Denny Saunier, President and CEO of the Canton Regional Chamber of Commerce. Dennis Manzella, the General Chairman of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival, who's with his wife, Roseanne Manzella. Todd Hawk, the General Vice Chairman of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival, and his wife, Tricia Hawk, the General Vice Chairman. We'd also like to thank these sponsors for their generous support of this event.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame Enshrinement Festival, including Enshrinement Week, powered by Johnson Controls, would not be possible without the support of our event sponsors. Fred Oliveri Construction and MRO Built. Huntington Bank. Marathon Petroleum. PPI Graphics. The Timken Company.
All right. Well, thank you very much again to those sponsors. So let's give them a round of applause because they made sure we can have this event. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Jim Porter.
Man, it's a heck of an honor to hear that, president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but I haven't quite gotten used to it yet. So, on behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, welcome to the 2022 Enshrinees Round Table. You know, prior to October 16th, when I had the honor of taking on this position, I would always be asked, hey, who's your favorite NFL team? And the answer to that was the Cleveland Browns. So, now I can't say that anymore because I love all 32 teams. So now I'm in this role and folks say to me, hey, what's your favorite event? And I have to say, well, I love all 17 of them. But a secret with just the fans here today and the friends here today, it's this event. So I joined you two. And this is the best event we put on, guys. And I wish everybody would understand that's missing this. Because at the dinner, we fill all those red chairs also. Next year, we're going to work on filling all those red chairs as well as all these tables on the floor, because this is one heck of an event. And I want to thank Denny and his team for not only this event, but the other 14 or 15 or 16, however many it is that you put on. But we are such an incredibly lucky to have the Chamber in our community. Chambers don't do this across the country, guys. It's usually business related. They do the business side of what they're supposed to do, and then they do all of this. And thank you all, and thank you to your team so much. So this has been an incredible week, and this kind of caps it off, but I want to thank my wife, Sarah, and my girls who have been through this all week long. Pretty incredible, huh? And my dad's here today, so I want to welcome him and thank him for all of his support. You know, the volunteers are wearing purple shirts all around town and some red shirts. You can tell if they're a volunteer because they have a smile on their face. And even after 10 days of doing this, they're still smiling. And we are such a fortunate community to have such a great group of volunteers. So thank you to all the volunteers once again. So Stark County is a small town, or a small county. Canton's a small city. But it takes a lot of safety forces to keep us all safe. And you see the same faces every day, 5, 6, 7 times a day. They're putting in a ton of hours and a ton of great work. And thank you to the safety forces. We talked about, Steve talked about having a great amount of folks returning here with us, Hall of Famers, and we're so honored. And that's what this weekend is about honoring the heroes of the game and preserving the history of the game. So we're really honored that 108 Hall of Famers came back to celebrate this 2022 class, who, as Steve mentioned, is just an incredible group of people. High integrity, very, very good character family people. Family so much that they've accepted my family. And when they come out, Steve, if you can remind them that family members send Christmas cards to each other. So I'm expecting Christmas cards from all these guys this year, okay? That's just to impress the mail lady. But so you guys, I tell our team all the time at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we have fans that are unique, right? Our fans, whether they're CEOs or blue-collar workers or great family people, they paint their faces on Sunday. That tells you how dedicated you are. And to have that group of people come through that just came through here, those are the ultimate football fans. And I want you guys to understand, those guys who just came in, they're not from Canton, Ohio. We didn't dress them up like Halloween. They are from all over the country on their own dime to come here and celebrate. They've been here, I think, since Monday or Tuesday, but they do things throughout our community, and they have donated tens of thousands of dollars to charity in our community. And I just want one more time to say thank you. And then we're going to let the show get on. But, you know, we talk about the best football players ever. There's 362 of them. And we're so proud of those 362. And you think of the millions of people who have been on a football field, only 362 in the Hall of Fame. But have you guys, especially those from our community, have you guys understood the broadcasters that come here? Steve Weish, Chris Berman, and Rich Eisen. They are also the best at what they do. And they come back every single year. And guys, we don't give them a dime, and they would not take a dime from us because they love this sport and they love this town so much. So thank you. So now the men have gotten their gold jackets and they've given their speeches. So all the stress is off now. That's what makes today so special. This is a time for them to relax, breathe a little, and let us know a little bit more about their experience here in Canton, as well as what got them to Canton, Ohio. So I'm looking forward to this. Hope you guys are. Enjoy the program, and thank you so much.
And thanks for those kind words, because as long as you have me, I'm going to keep coming back, because I love this town. You know, it's my favorite. I told you a million times, it's my favorite weekend of the NFL calendar, including the Super Bowl and all that good stuff. So we're going to keep it moving here, and I'd like to introduce the presenter of the 54th Annual Hall of Fame Photo Contest, the Dave Boss Award of Excellence, Rich DeRochers, Chief Communications Officer for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Good afternoon. The 2021 NFL season marked the 54th year that the Pro Football Hall of Fame has held a photo contest. Each year, thousands of images are submitted by professional photographers from across the country. First, second, and third place winners are selected in two categories, action and feature shots. And the winner is determined by a distinguished panel of judges naming a Photographer of the Year. The Dave Boss Award of Excellence, which is named in honor of the late NFL Properties Vice President and Creative Director, is awarded each year to that winning photographer. I am now pleased to present the first place image from this year's contest. Freelance photographer Mark Brown is the winner of the Dave Boss Award of Excellence for this entry in the 54th Annual Pro Football Hall of Fame Photo Contest. His photo is titled Backlit Backdrop. It depicts Miami Dolphins quarterback, now Cleveland Browns quarterback, Jacoby Brissett dropping back to pass in the shadows of Hard Rock Stadium, with the fans in the background creating that colorful mosaic. This image was taken in a game in Miami against the Houston Texans on November 7th, 2021. Brown is a graduate of Lynchburg College. He's based in South Florida, has worked as a photographer only since 2012, turning a hobby into a profession. His clients include Getty Images, various NFL teams, Major League Baseball, the NCAA, and numerous others. They all want to see Mark Brown's work. When told he had won the award, thought it was a buddy of his pulling a prank. But Mark, it's really true. You're really here. And it is my pleasure now to recognize this year's winner of the Dave Boss Award of Excellence, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Brown. Let's get right here for Sean. Come on up.
Wow. First and foremost, congratulations to this year's Hall of Fame inductees. It's been an amazing weekend watching you guys be inducted, and your speeches have just been inspiring. I'd love to thank the Pro Football Hall of Fame for having the contest. Jim, Salim, Rich, thank you for an amazing weekend. It has been totally just first class all the way, and it's been a tremendous experience. I wouldn't be here without the awesome support of my parents and my family. They always have had my back, and my sisters and their nieces and nephews for constantly torturing me and making fun of all the other photos that I seem to make. But most importantly, listening to the speeches from the inductees talk about family has made me realize that as great as it is to win this award, I'd like to really just take a quick moment to acknowledge the friends and family in my life who have supported me nonstop. My longtime friend, who's one of New Jersey's top high school football coaches, Shane Fallon, he gave me my first opportunity to cover football behind the scenes and really helped me grow as a photographer. My good friends Matt and Tina Becker, from formerly the Carolina Panthers, they gave me my first opportunity to cover the NFL and let me learn and just see what it was like to just develop an eye from the NFL sidelines. And lastly, John Willie and Surf Melendez, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. They were the head creative team that I worked under, and as an acknowledgement, I'm the third photographer to have an award here at the Hall of Fame. They've been responsible for 2 other photographers, along with myself, winning Hall of Fame awards, and I couldn't be here without their mentorship and guidance. I'd like to lastly thank all the team photographers and other entities that have hired me to work for them. I continue to grind as hard as I can. And lastly, my wife, Carolyn. You can't do it without the support of your best friend, my wife. She's been there for everything I've ever done. I love you to death. You're my best award, no matter what. Thank you again for letting me speak. This has been an unforgettable weekend. I'm honored to be a small piece of this year's Hall of Fame, and enough for me. I think you guys want to listen to the real guys that are here. Thank you very much.
Congratulations once again to Mark Brown. Well, all right. You see I've relocated. Showtime, the lights are up. You guys good? You ready? Okay. All right, so now let's actually meet the class of 2022. First out, Tony Boselli. Come on, Tone. Leroy Butler, and it's Leroy, not Leroy. Leroy. Richard Seymour. Dick Vermeil. And Brian Young. All right, guys, you can take a seat. And again, let's not forget their classmates, Art McNally, Cliff Branch, and Sam Mills. Why you got those shades on, Rich? Okay.
I took them off.
Okay.
I took them off. Last night was a long night, guys, okay? I'm just going to be honest. It was a long night. Tequila and cigars.
That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Put them on.
Brian, I want to start this, and everybody can chime in with this. But, you know, it's been a process since, you know, Charles Haley, my goodness, knocked on your door to let you know. But through this whole process, has anybody said something to you? It doesn't have to be a Hall of Famer, but anybody said something to you that now that you're here, kind of at the end of the finish line, that really resonates?
Yes, the reoccurring thing for me that I've heard since being here is that you're on this team and you can never be cut from it. You can never. You're always going to be a part of it. Your family's going to be a part of it, and such a unique opportunity. But to hear the guys tell you that you are on this team, and when I think about that, I look at guys that have been the standard for me, like Mean Joe Green, a lot of the Marilyn Olsen defensive linemen, like those guys have been the standard, and now I'm a part of this, and now I am to that standard, and that to me is so humbling. But to be welcome to this fraternity and realize how critically important it is to uphold that standard, it's amazing, and I'm proud of that, and to be on a team that I can never ever be cut from.
Rich?
Wow.
Hydrate.
Yeah, hydration. Well, you know, to be mentioned among the elite, to say that this is an honor, you know, doesn't begin to quantify the depth of gratitude that I think we all have for what the Hall of Fame represents. And as BY just stated, to be a part of a fraternity and your legacy will live on forever, and what that means to your kids, your grandkids, and all the great people of Canton, what they've done to preserve that legacy. This really means so much to so many, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sitting in the right spot because of the helmet right there.
Oh, did they do? I mean, they hooked him up. Are you?
Well, I only played for one team. I mean, it's like.
Is there a 9 or 10?
Jim, I'm taking this home, Jim. You know, for me, it was. That's my cousin. I'm sorry. Sit down, man. Sit down. Take him out, security. No. As African American, well, I'm still African American, but you know what I mean.
Yes, you
As
are.
an African American in the inner city, it was a few things that really impact my life, and it really came true when 2019, I was a first-year finalist, and me and my wife Genesis, she's here. She's truly amazing, and we were just happy to be there. But I saw Roger Staubach, and I said, one day I'm gonna be on the same team as him. And I went over to take a picture, which was amazing. And then it popped in my head this story real quick about, because I was a Cowboy fan growing up, I cried every time they lost. Leave me alone, don't be
Not
crazy.
me.
Yeah. Steve, you'd be nice. So I said, Mom, the kids are outside playing touch football, but you have to have a white shirt on, a white shirt on, and you write your favorite player on the back. Well, in poverty, I didn't have that. So I got my first new shirt from the Salvation Army. So I got this white shirt. I've never popped a tag before, but I popped the tag. So I said, Mom, the game starts in an hour. You got to write on the back of my shirt. So she wrote, she knew it was Roger Staubach. So she wrote Starback. I said, Mom, you misspelled Roger the Dodger. She said, look, everybody knows Roger Staubach, okay? It's okay. She was correct. And when I saw Tony Dorsett, I got so emotional at the Ray Nitschke luncheon. I remember Tony Dorsett and Cliff Harris text me. I mean, that's what it means to all of us to know that, as B.Y. said, when you're on this team, you can't be cut from it. And then when you see your number in your jacket, that is so impactful. And as I said in my speech, this is what football heaven really is, and I really appreciate that.
Well done. Well done.
Well, I think that I'd first like to thank President Jim Porter for taking a little pressure off me in the time limit yesterday prior to me going on stage. Because,
Oh, so you're blaming Jim? Okay.
no, I'm not blaming him. I just want to tell him it allowed me to really make some people that don't want to be recognized stand up. John Shaw has never taken credit for what we did. When I was included in the Wall of Fame and the history of the Ram, everything like that, I was honored in the stadium with thousands of people, and he wouldn't even come on stage with me. When Jim freed me up a little bit, he probably didn't want me to go 22 minutes, but I forced John Shaw to stand up, and he didn't want to. The people sitting next to him made him stand up, and to share the accomplishment. I don't like to be the key figure of accomplishments achieved by people together. The other thing was the night before the gold jacket, or maybe it was the night of the gold jacket. No, the night of the gold jacket. Andy Reid showed up in the lobby.
Yep.
Now, you know what time of year it is? Training camp.
Training camp.
Go time.
He's in the 5th day of practice. He gets on an airplane with his wife and the equipment man and flies in to meet me at the hotel before I get my jacket on. And, I came out of high school coaching and junior college coaching, which I wouldn't trade my evolution for anything. But I've really always looked up to all these big names in coaching. And I've never put myself at that level. And I never will, because I think there's always should be somebody you look up to, the Don Shulas, the Tom Landrys, the Joe Gibbs, the Bill. You should always be looking up to those people. And he walks in there. And I didn't know he was coming. I meet him in the lobby. And he says, Coach, I want you to know you belong in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you.
Leroy's the hugger in the group. Can anybody tell? We definitely balance each other out. He's a comedian, the hugger.
Tony?
Hey, if I say anything emotional, do not come hug me right now.
Okay. I'll take my jacket off first, okay? Because I don't want makeup on my coat. He's so good looking, right? The guy looks like a model.
Well, I mean, listen, they said it all. I think a couple things. My favorite part, I keep on saying, people say, what's your favorite part of this whole week? And there's something new every time I think about it. Yes. As I look over the last week and this whole ride, walking that gauntlet on Friday night was amazing. I probably took longer than anybody because I just said I was going to do what Leroy did, just hug every person. And part of it was knowing some of the guys you know better, even the guys that I've never met before or met just for the first time, just to be included and be on their team and be on this team is just amazing. Because I was a kid who grew up different circumstances, different neighborhood, whatever, but like Leroy, loving football, and like these guys, you dreamed, I watched. I was a Bronco fan. I remember sitting in the 5th level of Old Mile High Stadium. My dad took me when I was 10 years old to a game, and all I thought about is that's what I want to do. And then to be around those guys and them to be so welcoming, and it's been amazing. And then my other favorite part, honestly, is this group right here. The class we have, and I don't know if anyone noticed yesterday, my wife actually brought this up and we talked about it. And I'll exclude myself, because I hate talking about myself, but you talk about men of character. And every person, which I'm proud to be a part of this group, talked about their faith, about their family, honored their wives, honored their children, talked about what it meant to be a man. Forget football. Football obviously is why we're here and we all love it. But I'll say this, my favorite part, I could go through all different events, was the fact that I'm in the class with these other guys because of who you are, not because great coach, great safety, you know, defensive lineman, which I hate, don't like defensive linemen anyways. And so,
the feeling's mutual.
But I don't know, if you go back and listen to those speeches, every one of these men here talked about their wives, their kids, their family. That's what it's about. And so my favorite part is being inducted with these other 4 men. And Cliff Branch, Sam Mills, and Art McNally.
You're here.
Absolutely.
Certainly. Absolutely. Thank you. And Tony, when we opened up, we talked about it. I said every class has its own identity, and yours is clearly family and integrity. I mean, that thread is woven thick through here. So speaking of family, and I'll start with you, if you guys could share some insight on how you were notified and how all of your wives or family members kept it secret for probably more than a week, because these stories are incredible, that you had made it into Hall and kept it away from you.
So, this is like all of us. None of us were for our first ballot. All had to wait different periods of time. This was the 6th year I was a finalist. And, and every year you go through the process and you find out, and the dreaded phone call comes that you didn't make it. So this year, year 6, and the hard part is we all knew when the Hall of Fame, when the voters voted. I think it was like January 17th. And so having done this several times, I kind of knew the pace of, hopefully not getting a phone call. And that whole week's miserable because you look at your phone every time and hoping a 330 area code does not pop up. I can't tell you how many times the phone would ring, I'd be like, is it? Make sure it's not 330. And so it's going on, and it's been like day 7 since they voted, day 8, and I'm getting anxious, and I'm getting worried, and I keep on talking to my wife, and she's like, yeah, she's acting like she has no idea. Maybe you didn't make it, maybe you did, everything will be okay. Little did I know 10 days earlier, the day after they voted, the Hall of Fame called her and said, Tony made it, now let's plan how we're gonna surprise him. And so for 10 days, she hid this from me, deceived, lied, broke every marital vow that she ever gave.
Ditto.
To make me suffer. It was awful. It was terrible. Who would do that to a person?
Anxiety.
And, but it was worth it because at the end of it, I was at my good buddy's house, Eric Murphy. Him and Angie with the Hall of Fame, with the NFL Network, had planned this whole thing out and got me over there, lied to me. I guess it's a good time to lie every once in a while. And I'm sitting there in the room talking to my buddy, and the door knocks, and he says, and he was fighting cancer at the time. And he says, hey, my legs are pretty sore, could you go get it? And I said, sure. Not abnormal. I go open the door, and there's Anthony Munoz. And at that, yeah. And, Anthony Munoz is a Trojan like I am, is who I looked up to. I remember as a sophomore in college, early in the season, I was playing just okay. I was frustrated and found an Anthony Munoz tape and watched it for hours upon hours of how to play offensive line and ended up being All-American by the end of the year. And so, he's always been the guy, you wanted to be like. And so him to knock on the door allowed me to forgive my wife for lying to me for 10 days. But it was a great event. It was a great moment. But yeah, it's moments like that you never forget. And that started a pretty amazing 2022.
Well done. I love that. Now, Richard, your wife and your family got you real good too now.
Yeah,
very clever.
Yeah, no, actually. So I'll say this. Someone called, I don't know who called her, and I knew she had the information, and so I was just thinking to myself, like, after she got off the phone call, I was like, she's hiding something. I don't know what it is, but she has some insight. And I knew it was around the time because I've been talking to the Hall of Fame voters, and Ron Borges, he's been, just helping me throughout my career in terms of, he's the sponsor for, the Patriots and that sort of thing. So after she got off the phone, I just could tell, as Tony said, something's going on. I'm really not sure what's going on. So I was just like, maybe about 3 days later, we got a little bit closer to some more insight of, she was like planning stuff with the kids for the morning of, I don't know, it was the morning of when we were getting up to go to school. And I got a call from Ty Law, but it wasn't around anything with the Hall of Fame. It was about something with Georgia. And I'm like, oh, it's common. Ty always calls and knows what's going on. So we ended up that morning, the kids had to go to school. She was like, hey, babe, someone's at the door, and they got to come through the gate and the whole deal. So we ended up, I want to say it was maybe about 7 or 8 o'clock before the kids had to go to school. They all sitting around having breakfast. We're talking. Doorbell rings. I go to the door, and it's Ty Law at the door. And I'm like, hold up, what's going on? He has his gold jacket on, and he was like, welcome to Kent. And the really special moment for me with that is to have one of your former teammates introduce you to Canton. Like, that's something that is super special because we were in the trenches together. We won Super Bowls. We were dedicated together. And so for him to introduce me and I get the knock from him, it made it really super special.
Okay, so BY, we'll get to how you must have felt when you saw who actually was knocking on your door. But what about the way your family contributed to it? Because it was really cool how your kids kind of surprised you with this too.
Yeah, absolutely. Ditto was, he said, but I'm going to title it, it was Lies and Deception. Okay.
I agree.
Allegedly.
I mean, that's just not good. That's not. You shouldn't treat a man like that you love.
Yeah, every rule, every marital vow was broken. My kids lied to me. We taught them better. Just lies and deception.
This is football heaven. They orchestrated
Exactly.
good, so we'll give them a pass.
Yeah, we'll give them a pass. So, you know, it was, my wife did an incredible job just holding tight to the best the information she had. Poker face the whole time, got my kids involved. My oldest daughter was involved early in the process because she needed to make sure that the pool was ready to go for the ending. But little did she know with the pool, the culmination, the conclusion of that taping you guys probably saw with me going to the pool, heated pool, but the heater broke. Like 6 days after she had agreed to do it. And so I get the knock, it was incredible. But I tell you, before I even got the knock, my wife set up the Zoom meeting. We're about to sit down and plan to do some things to our house. Paint, and we had a friend that is an interior designer. So we're sitting at the Zoom, at the table. She was like, you sit here. I was like, why? No, I said, I'm good. Okay, I'll sit here. We're on the Zoom meeting, and I get this pound at the door, boom, 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 boom. Okay, I go to knock, and it's Charles Haley. I'm excited. As soon as I saw him with the yellow jacket, the big smile, the camera's there, I knew exactly what it was all about. But my daughter did not know at the end of all this that the heater had broken, and so they set this thing up for him to push me at the pool at the end. And so it was probably about 40 degrees that day. So it looked like it was nice and sunny, but it was actually really, really cold. And so 40 degrees, we're talking and walking. We said all our congratulatory stuff. And so we're just having this real intimate conversation. He grabs me. He was like, hey, come here. He said, I need to tell you something. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Like, but I wanted to make sure you know this. And then he kind of took a step back, and then he lunged and pushed me in the pool. And so the pool was extremely cold, but it was definitely worth it all to be able to get that chill and that shock factor from the cold pool, from the heater being broken. But, you know, my wife and my daughter did an amazing job just with the information they had, lies and deception. And, but it's the best lies and deception you can have, for sure.
And Charles Haley ran faster than he ever ran in his life to get out of your yard. Coach?
Well, I had a Thursday morning, it was an 8 o'clock meeting with my son who works for Merrill Lynch.
you know, and I screw up writing out a check. So he does our financial stuff, and I had set up a meeting for him. Carol decided it would be 8 o'clock Thursday morning. And then, so we get up, David Vermeil shows up, we're talking, and all of a sudden Rick Vermeil, who lives 10 miles away, shows up. We live out in the country in Pennsylvania. And funny, but then Carol says, you know, these two guys haven't been together in a while. Rick had some time, so we're having breakfast together. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, my driveway sensor buzzer goes off. Well, I'm expecting some stuff from UPS or, you know, like that. So I don't know if I had shoes on. So I get up, I'll go check on it. I go out, I get up, open the door. I live in the woods, and walking through the woods is Kurt Warner, Steve right here, a bunch of people, George Ferris, and George I worked with years ago. I know him, you know, and I know Steve, I know Kurt, and he's got his gold jacket, and I said, oh my gosh, this is the final word. I made it, you know. I was flabbergasted, and my wife was very good at keeping secrets. I am lousy. You know, if I have something good to tell, I got to tell the person right away. She did an unbelievable, and they were late, and they kept checking in with her, you know, on cell phone numbers, and all of us, when they showed up there, and they walked through the woods, rather than walking down the wooded deck area, they came through the woods, you know, and I stepped down on the ground. I don't remember if I even had shoes on. I was just overwhelmed by it. And then they all start coming in the house, and then all of a sudden the grandson shows up there to take part in it, and it was just, Carol did a great job, Steve, you did a great job, George did a great job, and of course, Kurt Warner did a great job. And it was, I had no idea they were coming, because you have to realize this, I received the notice that I was a finalist as a coach months ahead of time. But they've only put 10 coaches in the Hall of Fame in the last 25 years. So I always had the back of my mind, I'm sure they're going to put somebody in there more deserving than me. And when it all came to fruition on that Thursday morning and see all these people come walking in, it was an experience I will never forget. And it's amazing how many people have commented on me that they've seen the video of you guys and all that stuff.
We thought we were tricky walking through the woods with no leaves on the trees or anything like that, like we couldn't be
yeah.
seen.
But anyway, that's how I found out and got the final message.
Now, Leroy, your wife, I mean, I don't know how she kept it from you, because she told a few people to make the ruse work.
Yeah, my wife is platinum. That's why her name is Genesis. Like, you can't start the Bible without Genesis. This is football heaven, right? Okay, I know it was cheesy, people, but go with it. For me, it was different because I do a lot of tours of the stadium, Lambeau Field. So that Friday before the San Fran game, I'm already in my mind, do not like Garoppolo, I don't like Shanahan, I want to beat these guys. So I'm into the game, but I'm doing a tour. So I took my wife with me, then she disappears. But I'm still going on with the tour, and I don't see her. So in my peripheral, I see her way down the corner at Lambeau Field. We're up at the suites level. I got like 40 people following me around. I'm telling them all the history of the stadium. And then I say, what's going on? Because at first I'm thinking something wrong with my son, because that's when my anxiety would just go crazy. My 6 daughters, oh, I'm good, they're fine. My son. So she said, everything's fine. So she joins the tour. They had told her that I made it, but don't tell them. She didn't say a word. So the game, the next day, the Packers lose, and I'm very distraught. I think in her mind, she's thinking, I could tell him right now, it'll make him feel better. But no. We got to go through the process. He's waited 16 years. He could wait another 10 days, right? So my daughter Sierra says, I got a great idea. It's a student at the school, because I have an anti-bullying program. So I'm going to call him to say, meet me at grandma's house and pick me up for school, which would have been about 6 o'clock in the morning, so I could be in the house. So, and then my son had to be to school at 7:13. I don't know why 7:13, but I love teachers. So I'm thinking, okay, I got all this in my head. I just throw on my favorite sweatshirt, which is salute to service, military games for the Packers. I threw it on, I get over there. Or then I thought about I had an interview with the Racine Journal-Times at like 8 o'clock. So I'm thinking, I called the young man and said, can you come over a little early? I can talk to you while the kids are getting ready. And then my godmother shows up because it's her friend. I said, can you get him to come at a certain time so I can be on time with the school? So I'm in there doing the interview. Now, my father-in-law never, air quotes, let people answer the door. Never. Nope, nope, nope. So I hear a knock, and he says, Roy, can you get that? The last time he did that, though, it was when I was supposed to pay for a food delivery. He didn't want to pay. I'll save $50, let him go to the door. So I said, okay. So I'm thinking that's what it is, but I said this time it was in the morning. I look through the peephole, I see Woodson, but I don't see anything else. Now, had it been Brett Favre's face out the peephole, see, none of these guys, those people, they just open the door. No, I'm from the inner city. We look at the people. Who's that? Oh, Woodson. What's he doing? So I open the door. And when I see Woodson, I see the gold jacket. And immediately, I'm thinking, this is a joke. So I shut the door. And then when I opened the door, I saw the camera crew. I knew it was real when I saw you, Steve, because you're a big star in our household. And I said, this is it. And Woodson said, welcome, to the Hall of Fame. And then every time I have anxiety, I always think about grabbing my Bible. It makes me calm. I said, where's my Bible, if you watched it? And then I thought about it real quick. How does it feel to be to this level? Because that's what we're always asked. How do you feel? How do you feel? But I told George that backstage to tell you. But this is how I felt. I felt like if I was a young lady and I want a young man to propose for me for 16 years and he's never done it, this year he's gonna do it, right? He never does it. Or the next year, you're in. He's gonna give you that ring and he doesn't do it. So you've given up, I'm done, I'm a finalist, because the fans, they get excited. That's why I love being here, because I love the fans. And they want you to get in. And then you said, I'm done, God, he's never gonna propose. And the door knocks, and Woodson has the ring. So ladies, don't give up on us. So I apologize to my wife for taking so long. Yeah. But when Woodson gave me that ring, I said yes, by the way. And then real quick, I didn't know who Jim Porter was for 2 hours when he was in my house. I said, where's the new guy? I see George, but where's, here comes Jim. And I just looked at him. I said, did my brother make it? Did my other brother make it? My other brother? And the three who didn't make it or should have made it, but did one coach that I do not like because he used to beat my Cowboys. And at the time, he couldn't tell me names, so he just winked at me. He said, you'll be happy. That's why I agree with Tony, this is the best class.
Love it. Love it. All right, Coach, I want to shed some light on some of your classmates who are not here. As we know, Sam Mills and Cliff Branch have passed away, and Art McNally just could not be here. But what can you tell us about Cliff Branch? Of course, your Eagles played against him in the Super Bowl.
Are you asking him because he's
I know
old?
Cliff Branch.
No. Coach, you see what Stevie just did?
Yeah, that's all
He
right.
asked you about the old guys because you're the old guy on the team.
Well, look, he had direct experience.
You bet. Well,
And he did say he's been coaching for since
forever.
Leather helmets, right?
Well, Cliff Branch, everybody know. Now, I was a young assistant at the Rams in the early 80s in there, and early 70s. And they developed the 18-yard breaking points and patterns and the 18-yard comebacks and that, and they could throw them blind. And Cliff Branch had such speed that it was a gimme. And I remember a preseason game. I'm running the offense at the Rams. I'm looking down, and I'm watching these guys run these 18-yard comebacks. It was like stealing from a baby, because everyone was so afraid of him to crowd him after 12 yards that they just kept backing off. Boom, 18 yards. Their quarterback, the left-hander, Stabler. They could throw it blindly. And they were really the first ones. That was that influence of Sid Gilman. And Branch, with his speed, added fear to that route and that 18-yard breaking point. So he always had a cushion. You better not challenge it, because if you do, the next one is not going to be a comeback. It's going to be a go home, And today there's the most improved position in the National Football League is the wide receiver. They can all fly. They can catch the uncatchable ball. And old-time wide receivers like Cliff first showed people, young players all the way back in high school, how to catch the one-handed ball. Harold Carmichael, my guy, these kind of guys. And once those guys started doing it, became infectious to developing the attitude of the other receivers in the league all the way into college and high school. Now every football team, they may not have a Branch that can fly and do everything, but they can all catch the uncatchable ball. They can all catch the contested ball, because, of course, the rules have in favor of the wide receiver. But you'd have to say that Branch contributed to the evolution of the passing game because of his speed and his combination and the 18-yard comeback, in my opinion. It was, in fact, I copied it. I really did, I swear. I had it. In the old days, you had film and a film editor, and they cut out each film, and then they splice them together. And if you walked in the splicing room, it's the smell. It was like dope. The guys would come out of from the glue sound like this, And I had every 18-round comeback you could see, and I studied that, and I watched the quarterbacks drop and the rhythm and the pass sets and all that stuff, and we installed it in our offense, because of him. Yeah, outstanding.
Steve, you mentioned Sam Mills. I got to play against Sam.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, okay.
Because in '95, when the Jaguars had an expansion team, as well, the Carolina Panthers, and Sam was a free agent there. And in '96, they were really good. We were not very good early, got good late. Both ended up in the NFC the championship games that year. But I remember playing Carolina that year. And what stood out to me about Sam, I mean, if you looked at him, it's like this guy's like 5'10". I mean, he's not a big guy. And you line up, and, as an offensive lineman, center makes the mic call, which is Sam Mills, and so where's 51? But you're kind of watching the defense, and I remember watching the film and getting ready, and he was one of those guys that at the end of the game, he would make big plays, but you look at the stat sheet, he's everywhere. Like you didn't realize how big of an impact that he was making, because it was like he was all over the place all the time, and then it's like, my goodness, how's this guy at his size on a field of a bunch of men who are just 6'4", 6'5", in the trenches, and he was as physical. And I think and I didn't know him personally very well at all, but what stood out is just you could tell he's one of the smartest football players ever, because he knew where to be at all times. And I think that's the thing that gets missed a lot of times about the really great players. A guy like Sam Mills, it's not just the athletic ability. There's stuff, coaches measure and how fast you are and how tall you are and your arm length. But I think what sometimes we miss is what's between the ears. And you watch Sam Mills play, he knew where to be at every moment. And he was always there. And then I think he's another great representation of what kind of man, that I'm proud to be a part of these guys because who they are. He might epitomize that with who he was off the field. And to hear his family, his wife, and his kids talk about him, not as a football player, but as a dad and a man, he's a no-doubter, Hall of Famer.
I can add a little credibility to that. Remember, Sam Mills started in the USFL in Philadelphia. Jim Mora was his head coach, who worked with me at Stanford and was my linebacker coach my first year at UCLA. Okay, Carl Peterson was the president of that football team. And so I had total access to everything that was going on in that football team. And I started hearing Jim Mora say, my God, this kid, Sam Mills, he can play. Sometimes, like you were saying, something has to jump out at you that defies all the measurements. Because of Sam Mills' influence on me, watching him in the USFL, including watching him play, and then there, I signed, along with my personnel staff, London Fletcher. London Fletcher is a Sam Mills, maybe a half an inch shorter, that played 16 years in the league and never missed a game. Never missed a game, and made his tackling numbers and everything else are the same as Ray Lewis. Okay, at 5'8 3/4, 5'9". But Mr. Mills was a positive in us going through the evaluation process of signing him as a free agent. He would have paid us to sign, and one day he'll end up here.
There's a lot of groundswell for London Fletcher.
Yeah, you bet.
I
Just go watch him play.
I also have a piece to add to the Sam Mills piece as well. So, obviously going in with these guys, we also had an opportunity to go in with, Melanie Hobson and, the wives of the deceased, right? And so getting to know the family, sitting backstage, his wife said, hey, Richard, interesting fact about Sam is he was cut in Cleveland early on in his career. Yeah, to start his career, and to come back full circle to be introduced into the Hall of Fame now is just an amazing story for who he is as a man.
That's awesome. And why is that? What does that mean right there, Richard? What's your number?
No, I'm number 360 on my Hall of Fame jacket, and it's full circle.
There you go.
Right? Pretty sweet deal. Yeah, certainly.
All right, we're going to start out with the D lineman, and eventually we're going to involve D lineman versus O lineman here. But you guys were contemporaries, played in the same era. What did you guys know each other? Because a lot of times guys follow each other, like, okay, what did this guy do? How's he playing? This and that. And I'll start with you, BY. Like, when you heard of Richard and saw some of the things he did, what did you think about him?
Well, just coming in as a young guy, I had a few years on him in the league, but watching him play in New England and being as talented for such a big, long guy, he really controlled the line of scrimmage. He had great length, was able to separate and just be a havoc up front. And I'm like, man, who's this young kid coming in the league? I'm like, I need to start really paying more attention to him. And so I made it a point to follow his career. He did some incredible things early in his career and sustained that. And just had a ton of respect for how he played the game, what he brought to his team, and how he played with so much pride. Watching him play the position and taking that torch in terms of the guys that set the standard, he definitely elevated that position by how he played the game. And so I respect that, excuse me, I respect that a ton in terms of what he's brought to the table for his team. I love watching him play. For me, I'll even go back to even watching some of the guys that have already been in the Hall of Fame as well. I make it a point to make a cut-up of guys that are doing different things rushing. And so I would watch tape and see what they were doing differently. And you know what? If the shoe fit, I'll try that move. And if it didn't, I'll go to the next move. But I was always curious as to what other guys were doing. And so I would make the cut-up. He made the cut-up reel for me. And so as his career continued to move forward, he was doing some things that were, you know, maybe uncanny for me because I didn't have his length. But in terms of the moves that he was doing, I was paying attention. And so I would make sure that whatever he was doing, if it was different, I was going to try and adopt it to my game, even as a guy that was a little younger than me. And so it was never...
A lot younger.
A little.
Yeah, well, I'll say this for me, like, so even when I was at the University of Georgia, my coaches, like, we would have a cut-up of all of the top defensive linemen in the league. And obviously for me, the way that Bryant Young played the position was something that I wanted to model my game after. And so even when we were able to go into the Hall of Fame, here's the thing. I thought B.Y., for me, should have already been in the Hall of Fame way before I even got here, because he was a guy that epitomized the position. Like, he was a technician. He played the game the right way. Like, if you ask offensive linemen who you don't want to play against, like, this guy, he doesn't quit. He's a competitor.
We're about to ask one.
Well, we don't want to talk to offensive linemen. We know that. But for me, B.Y. was the guy. Obviously, B.Y., Sapp, a lot of, John Randall. But he was the technician. He played the game the way the game was supposed to be played. And, there's certain guys that you like. And I wasn't the technician that he was. Like, I got away with some stuff from time to time, as B.Y. said, just because of my length and explosiveness. But B.Y. was a guy in terms of technician and playing the game with grit and toughness, hand placement. Like, he was a guy that was at the top of the highlight reel for me and all of my coaches. So B.Y. is my guy.
All right. I can add, Steve, I can add something about these guys. I had never met Richard, and I've been in coaching a long time. And first time I meet him, we're walking, and he walks away from me. And I said, holy mackerel, this guy's knock-kneed. He could walk over a fire hydrant. He did like this. And most NFL players that have knock-knee problems have knee injuries. They really do. It's really. And I don't think, have you ever had a major knee injury?
No, not major.
But aren't you knock-kneed?
I am.
Oh, yeah. And when you're as tall as he is, it's empty. It goes like this, bang, and he's right out to his knees. And Bryant, he's 49er defensive tackle. 49ers beat the Rams when I was there 17 times in a row. That's hard to do, lose 17 times in a row. And we actually brought Adam Timmerman from the Green Bay to the Rams in 1999, hoping he could solve a problem for us with that guy. Okay. Now, we ended up beating him in the 18th game, preventing the 18th loss in a row, not because Adam didn't, but he did make a contribution, believe me. You had to have somebody of equal talent to block that guy.
No, that's awesome. So there has been some discussion going back to Notre Dame and USC.
Yeah.
Of you two banging.
Yes.
Okay, who gets first discussion here on how things went?
I'll just say this, like Tony came out of 95, and so I was a little older than him, but this kid was everything is advertised in college. Just, now I didn't go against him all the time, but when I'd play inside and place him in, I'm like, this dude is legit good, and he's going to be a force to reckon with in the future. And so I kind of predicted that after playing with him and seeing him in college. Just for a big guy, just athletic, sweet feet. He had a tenacity. He was mean. He looks nice now, but right. But he was a prick on the field. And that attribute, that's a compliment.
How do you spell that?
Okay. He was an absolute prick. in the best way possible. And he knows what I mean.
By the way,
Take that as a compliment.
I take that as a 100% compliment.
Yes.
'Cause I was trying to be one.
He was always in the right place, hands in great position, feet in great position, never gave up much. You had to absolutely work for whatever you earned against Tony, and I respected that and knew that he was on the path, on the track to have a great career. And it's no surprise to me that he is here with us because of what I saw and witnessed at an early part of my football career. And so just happy to be a huge part of. Now, I will tell you this. Unfortunately, Tony didn't have success against Notre Dame. So
I thought he was going to clean it up. He made it worse.
yeah, but I'm gonna give him credit. Like, he absolutely played his tail off against us, and I'm so glad we're teammates now, Tony.
I can't tell.
No, but BY's right. So I think it was 93 we played each other.
Yeah.
Did you come out in 93?
My senior year.
Yeah. And I remember it was the last game of the year, and actually had a little bit of an ankle injury, and so I was watching on the tape. And BY went inside, outside. He played both the end-to-end tackle, depending on the defense. And he was all great defensive linemen can beat you. Let me put it this way. In my opinion, you never had a chance to beat me. Zero chance, no way, no how, if you didn't have power. Like, if you couldn't threaten me with power, it was over. And BY had power. And he was heavy-handed. So I remember, like, and you know that as an offensive lineman, you can watch and tape and get a feel for it. But, like, that first snap, you feel their power, and you're like, okay, this is going to be one of those days. Because if he has no power, I can just sit on all the moves and all that stuff. And but BY was, it was a great battle. We went at it. And like anytime you play a great player, you win some, you lose some. They beat us overall. But the biggest compliment I can give BY is I'll never forget playing in when we played a few times against the 49ers as pros. And I'll never forget, we were warming up, and I always like to watch the other team warm up. Like, watch what they're doing pass rush, see how a guy's moving, is he looking fresh, is there just any injuries or anything else like that. And in BY, he's out there, and I'm watching him, and he's rushing from right end, which means I would have to block him. I'm like, come on. There's no chance he's going out there today. Because I didn't prepare for him all week. There was no film. He had not done that. And so there was like a moment there as I'm warming up going, damn it. BY might be playing right end today. I got to change my mindset because it's a whole different player and it's a whole different animal because of what he can do. And no different than Richard. I mean, I watched him. We never play because I got hurt. But Richard is a guy who had speed. He had power, but he also could use speed. And some people think, oh, speed, does that mean just run around people? No, it's the explosiveness and the quickness to get on the edge. All you have to do as defensive lineman, get on the edge of me, on my shoulder, then I have a problem. That's what's quickness. And if you have that and power, not very many guys can do both. But those two right there, that's why I'm in the Hall of Fame, because they can do both. And as an offensive lineman, now you're going, it's like baseball. You can throw 100 miles an hour, but if you don't have a changeup,
that's right.
The good hitter's going to time you up. Mm. And if you're a one-trick pony as a pass rusher, you never have a chance with me. You come bring some power, now I got to think a little bit. Now I got to actually try and block it.
Got to try.
And I had to try.
So easy.
And I had to try real hard. And didn't work sometimes with BY.
So, Roy, what player did you just hate going against?
Hate going against?
Yes.
Everybody.
That's not what Michael Irvin said.
Playmaker, my guy. I can't. Well, I should do one Cowboy story.
Well, why not? I'm sure BY wouldn't mind.
No one's listening, but I grew up a Cowboy fan. So when we got there, you're not supposed to feel this as a rookie. First 3 years, we get to Texas Stadium, and I remember as a kid dreaming at night of seeing the stadium when it was cut out of the roof. And I remember I'd never go out there early, never go out there early. But I went out there early, and I stood under that roof and was like, wow, oh, wait a minute, I'm a Packer. I got to go back to my locker room. Not supposed to do that. But I just, to me, when the changing of the guards was anytime I played Shannon Sharp, I got excited. I got excited whenever I had to cover a tight end or if for some reason I had to do a lot of blitzing. Now, one of my best friends, I hope he never sees this, but I remember playing against Steve Young. And Steve Young basically lent us his coordinator, which is Mike Holmgren, was with Bill Walsh. Yeah. So we ran the same West Coast offense they ran. We got the same calls. Every two-jet line for us is the same for them. Yeah. So I went to Brett. I said, well, now he's not going to call two-jet line because he knows I know what it means. Brett said, well, he may do some dummy calls. So it was a particular formation that if they had split backs, Fritz Shermer, who to me is one of the best, and who got acknowledged by the Hall of Fame, thank you for that. He said, if they do split backs, you can blitz. If they do eye backs, no, I need you in the box to stop the run. So the guy split backs, and Steve Young is into his cadence. He's blue 23, he's in his cadence. I start creeping up, and he winks at me.
Got him.
So I would give Reggie a cold call. That means I ain't coming. They got me. So Reggie said, no, Roy Lee, do it anyway. I said, the guy just winked at me. He knows I'm coming. And it's almost as if Steve is pausing for us having this conversation because he goes, so I said, you know what? I'm gonna trust Big Dog. Big Dog said, keep it on. And Reggie White and Gilbert Brown ran what y'all call the game, the Me Too game? Yes, what they said. Yeah.
It's a twist stunt between the end and tackle. Sometimes the inside guy is first, and then the end is looping around, or sometimes the end is coming first, and then the tackle is looping around for contain.
Jim, make sure you get us a telestrator so we can show people.
You got that, Jim?
Yeah. So they do their game, and it opens wide open for me. And I run and I sack number 8. I said, boy, that felt good, Steve, because I knew you knew I was coming. To me, he was the smartest quarterback ever to play the game. He knew all the positions. It ain't even close. To me, that's just my opinion. Going against quarterbacks, to me, really made a difference. It just really made a difference in my life because I felt like if I can control and understand what the quarterback is doing, I would really feel good about it. And the one guy that taught me is 2 guys that taught me the West Coast style principles. Andy Reid was our tight ends coach. I went into his meeting. He told me the progression of how quarterbacks do it and get the ball out. And I went over to Doug Peterson, who's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was the backup quarterback, because Brett never misses a game, right? And he just kind of told me how the system is and how they audible and just be ready for protections. And that's what helped me get a lot of sacks.
Awesome. All right, guys, I just got the 5-minute warning. So I like to end these with a question. We'll start with Richard and go around. Player, coach, contributor who is not in the hall, who you want to see join you in Canton?
Well, it's easy for me. I mean, I said it yesterday. Obviously playing for Coach Belichick, and eventually, he should be in. But he's meant so much to the game. As a young player coming out of the University of Georgia, a talented guy, but I still needed to learn what it meant to be a pro, and obviously that has a lot to do with going to a veteran team. But Coach Belichick, in terms of preparation, he leaves no stone unturned. Special teams, scouting department, who the officials are in the game, what calls they make. We were always prepared for every situation that happens. And so I liken it to, I'm a boxing fan. If I was a boxer he'd be my trainer, and because I have complete confidence in, I know I'm going to be prepared going into whatever matchup that I need, whatever I need done. I know he's already watched every film. Here's the thing. So we had to be at meetings at 8 a.m. in the morning. You know, we'll come in a little early, get treatment, whatnot. So I was like, I'd probably be a guy that'd probably get there maybe about 6:30, have breakfast, do a little lift. Coach Belichick's already there. So I said, well, I had to come in early. One time I was hurt. I came in early, came in like 5. Coach Belichick's car is there. We leave late at night. His car is still there. So he called me to the office one day. I'm in his office. He may go out and he got something out of the office. But I looked, he had a little air mattress over there as well. He would sleep in as well, whatever it took, like he was that dedicated. And so for me, it's him because he gave the mindset of what it takes to be elite. And so, like, I'm really a product of that mentality. And so for me, it's easily Coach Belichick.
I think he's got a pretty good shot.
You think he'll make it?
Yeah.
You think he'll make it?
I think there should be a rule, maybe if you got 7 Super Bowls, just put him in the hall right now.
Yeah, the 5-year waiver should be, the 5-year wait should be waived.
Jim, that's 2 things that have been put on your calendar.
Yeah.
You know, wow, there are a lot of players that have come before me that played for the organization that have been on the ballot. They've been close, but no cigar. One is Roger Craig as a running back, guy that I admired. I didn't play with him. He was just a guy that I grew up watching. Part of all those championship teams, kind of set a standard, you know, with how to play that position. You know, 1,000 guy, kind of first guy to set that mark. And so just humbled to, one, be there in before him, but thought that he would definitely have been in the hall before me. So he would be one of the guys as a player. And there's so many other players that I play with, I think, that are deserving. Coach-wise, from a championship standpoint, you know, George Seifert won 2 championships. And so he's not here, and I think he's a guy that will hopefully get his due diligence as a coach to be enshrined. John McVay as an administrator as well. He is under the radar. He has been a huge part of constructing all those championship teams and making the numbers work and working behind the scenes. And so before there was a numbers guy, he was the numbers guy. And so he's the guy that is, in my opinion, is underserved a little bit, doesn't get a whole lot of credit. And so it would not surprise me if he makes it. I think he deserves being here, and I think his name needs to be mentioned a lot more, just in terms of what he's done for that organization. Really been the foundation of all those championship teams and making it, all the pieces work. So he's a guy I would love to advocate for. And I got another one.
Get many as you want, go ahead.
Yeah, he said one. Okay, I got the mic. All right. No, just kidding. He has the mic. I'm just kidding. Quickly, but player-wise, there's a lot of guys that spoke on my behalf for my candidacy. Ton of respect for offensive linemen, but he mentioned one of them that I have a ton of respect for. I played against a lot of great centers. Adam Tindman is a great guard. He's a guy, he came in with the Rams, and they got better because he was a huge piece of their offense. And ton of respect for Adam. Didn't give up a whole lot as a player, and you had to really go earn it. One of those guys that I put him in the same bucket as Tony in terms of, you know, you got to work to earn it.
He was at my party, by the way.
Yeah, he was there. He was at mine too.
Hey, don't say
Yeah. Ton of respect.
Love Adam.
For me, I'll give 2 quick. One is Tom Coughlin.
Facts.
I don't.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, Tom Coughlin is one of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game of football. At every level, much like Coach Vermeil.
No question.
What he did in Jacksonville is historically has never been done as an expansion team, the success. And you asked Wayne Weaver, the old owner, probably the only mistake he'd made was not letting Tom rebuild it the second time. That's how good a coach he is. Now, he was miserable to play for, probably much like Coach Vermeil at times. It was just a different mindset, tough, hard-nosed, don't give you an inch, but it was always purposeful. And I said it, and we had a great time last night talking, Tom and I said it in the speech, but when you stood back, you always respected him because he made you a winner, and he got you ready. See, players, a lot of times, we didn't want to do the stuff that it took because it's hard. Football's a hard game. And practice isn't fun. And, I mean, Richard talked about it. No one wants to get up at 5 a.m. and go get treatment, 6:30 lift, you know. All we really want to do is go play on Sunday. But Tom was a master of getting a team ready. And then he won 2 Super Bowls with New York Giants. So Tom Coughlin is a Hall of Fame coach. So I think, I mean, he should be in. I don't, you know, ASAP. The second one is a guy I played with, is Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor, and the knock on him is he didn't have a bunch of Pro Bowls or All-Pros or anything. Just go talk to anyone ever tried to tackle Fred Taylor.
Facts.
And go look at his numbers. Yards per carry is, I think, top 3 all time in the history of this game. The only stat that he gets hurt on is on touchdowns, and he should blame Tom Coughlin for that because Tom took him out on goal line all the time and put in James Stewart, a bigger back. But Fred Taylor's as good as running back as I've ever seen, ever play the game. And having watched him and play and watch the tape and what he did, he is a remarkable player. And I hope he's been a semifinalist a couple times. I really hope that he gets into the final 15 so his name can be debated in his career. And I hope that the voters will do what they did with BY. When you go talk to the offensive lineman who had to block BY, hands down, everyone knew he was a Hall of Famer. I hope they go talk to the defensive coordinators, the linebackers, the safeties, the guys who had to try to stop Fred Taylor. Because what they'll hear is that he's one of the greatest of all time. And I hope he's here one day.
Well said. Well said.
Coach? Well, I think, first, the players I've been close to, as I said yesterday, I've coached as a head coach 10 Hall of Famers. I've coached 5 as an assistant football coach, and I would say that I know what they look like, and I always told my scouts, if you have to spend a lot of time in evaluating a player, if he's a first-round pick, he's not. The real truth for you. A guy that never coached or scouted a football game could pick up a film on Bryant coming out of Notre Dame and say he's a first-round pick. It's glaring. And I think within my situation, the people I've seen so far, I've coached personally now, I would say Torrey Holt is a wide receiver. Yeah. And, you know, they keep improving the rules to enhance wide receiver performance. And some of those rules have made sense he retired. But he was never a rookie. He was never a rookie. And just a great human being to coach. And Al Saunders did a beautiful job of coaching. He's been a finalist, and eventually he's going to get in, you know. And I think eventually, maybe it's next year, I hope so. It may not be. But in knowing him like I know him, and visiting with Carol and I, with he and Carla last night, he's not sitting there pissed off at the Hall of Fame for not getting in this year. I've been around guys that have. I've been around coaches that have. In fact, I would stay away from them because I didn't want to hear it. You know, you earn the right to be here, and you know you can't put everybody in all at once. But I would say Torrey Holt, and my next guy off that team would be London Fletcher. Off my Kansas City team, I would say you got to give some concentration to Priest Holmes. You know, if he'd have been in Chicago Bears or Dallas or New York when he broke the all-time single-season rushing touchdown scoring thing, it may be easy for him, but it's not. But he could score. You know, coaching-wise is very difficult for me. I ended my presentation yesterday. I know who a NFL head football coach that deserves to go in there, and I never put myself in that category. But I put Mike Hogeman in that category. Let me tell you why I put Mike Hogeman in that category. the three coaches, and I'm not bragging when I put myself in, but there's, because I've done the studies, that have taken Super Bowl a team to a Super Bowl that had been losing, 70% of the games prior to in this whole 7 years prior to ever going to a Super Bowl, one was Vince Lombardi. He did it. Dick Vermeil did it twice. Mike Holmgren's done it twice. Okay? So that tells you something. Does that tell you Tom Coughlin doesn't know? Tom Coughlin was the finest finest college football coach I ever saw. Okay? And what he did, he will be in the Hall of Fame someday. I just hope they don't keep putting these guys back. George Seifert. People say, well, George Seifert, well, he took over Bill Walsh's team. Yeah, he won right away, but 2 or 3 years later, he won another one. It was now George Seifert's influence. Don Coryell, you know, there is too much put on the fact that you haven't won a Super Bowl. So you're not a Hall of Fame coach. Don Coryell taught us all how to win a Super Bowl.
That's right.
Okay, he taught us how. He taught us how to put the tight end in the game. He taught us how to do some rhythm throwing. You know, so there's many ways to look at it differently. But I would say right now Marty Schottenheimer belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's deceased, obviously. Dan Reeves, Denver Broncos, Super Bowls, but he lost. Atlanta Falcons, Super Bowl, but he lost. And that's held against him. But you look at his record. He is a Hall of Fame coach. I just don't want more quality coaches to have to go in deceased.
Yeah.
You follow me?
That's
and I know for a fact, I feel that I know that it came down between Mike Holmgren and I last year. If I were voting, and I told Mike Holmgren this, I would have voted for him.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, in the world, we know you're a big fan of Holmgren. You've mentioned him.
Well, yeah. I mean, the guy was truly amazing. He walked by me one day, and I had on a Michael Jordan shirt, and he came back, and he said, why don't you wear your own shirt instead of Michael Jordan? I said, I don't have a shirt. He said, precisely, go do something. Okay. Coach, you're right about Holmgren. I love the guy. I mean, when he came in, I didn't know who he was. And fly back, and, you know, I full disclosure, I heard Bill Parcells, even you, Coach, may be the next Green Bay coach in 92, 93. I just didn't know. They said, we're going to get a big name coach. And it was Mike Holmgren. I had no idea who he was, but I'm so glad he came. But then he takes Seattle to the Super Bowl, lost to Pittsburgh with Matt Hasselbeck, who's one of my best friends. So Holmgren will be there. I would love to see Lee Rimmer as a contributor. Lee Rimmer was everything for me. He's the one that taught me how to act with the media, really. I said, Lee, what are they going to ask me? I don't know. He said, okay, calm down. This is what they're going to ask you. This is what you're going to say. So what are you going to say? I said, I don't know. He said, say that. He was a historian for tons of years, all the way back to Lombardi, so I wish he would get acknowledged. But my last one, I wouldn't say it's personal, because what I don't want to do is see other young men waiting to discourage them, and I don't want to do that, but I want to give my opinion that Sterling Sharp, to me, now this is just my opinion, he caught 100 balls when it was hard. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, because my fantasy league starts next week, I'm taking Cooper Kupp, by the way. Everybody catches 100 yards. Everybody catches 147, 150. Thank you, Cooper. I love all those numbers, but Sterling Sharp was one of the first to catch, and people doubled him. Yeah. So, and I would concur with Coach with Torrey Holt. Probably the second, makes the best second move than any receiver I've ever seen in my life. So both of these guys will get in, but if Sterling can one day get in, it'd be great. And the last one would be a coach. Other than home would be Mike Shanahan. When Mike Shanahan...
No question, no question.
If they ever donate somebody to the Smithsonian, it'll be the smartest guy in the world. It'll be Mike Shanahan. I'm not just saying that because he said that the only way they won Super Bowl 32 was to take me out of the box. Yeah. But it helps. Mike Shanahan will be a Hall of Famer sooner than he thinks.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, can I say one thing about Sterling? Because it is a little personal to me because he had a similar career to me. And the whole thing that was debated about my career was I got hurt, and it was shortened. Yeah. And I always remember, and I'm sure it's similar to Sterling, I want to say some people would always say you were the greatest during your era, or right at, all pro, all that. And you would be no doubter if you had a longer career. And I always remember saying, well, was the Hall of Fame for the greatest of all time or the longest of all time? And now it can be both. I'm not saying it's either or. And I know this, that Sterling Sharp, when he played, it was him and Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
It was Sterling Sharp and Jerry Rice for about 5 years. And you go look at the numbers, and it wasn't like, and nothing against the quarterback situation in Green Bay at the time, but he wasn't playing with Joe Montana. Right. And he wasn't playing on great teams with a bunch of other people to take pressure off him, like you said. And I remember watching Sterling Sharp before I got in the NFL, and there was no better receiver in the NFL. And I'm with Leroy. If you want to know the best players to ever play this game, I don't care how long it was for, Sterling Sharp is one of the best guys who's ever played the game of football, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Well said.
Real quick.
All right. I didn't mention a contributor who wasn't a contributor but was an official. I think Jim Tunney made people look at the officiating profession professionally. I think he raised the standards of what the general fans and the coaches and the players rate, how they evaluated an official, really, and he was the number 2 Art McNally.
He was.
Really. Yeah, and the other thing, hey, we're going in a woman's world, which is wonderful. I've been married one for 66 years, okay. I'll tell you, Georgia Frontier, world championship team, she owned the football team.
She owned the Rams.
She owned the football team.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, your Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2022, Leroy Butler, Dick Vermeil, Tony Boselli, Bryant Young, Richard Seymour. And ladies and gentlemen, on your way out, you can also buy this autographable football for the class of 2020. So do not forget that as well. It's a really nice ball, easy to get autographs. Be safe, be great. Appreciate you guys so much.